Hi, I'm Camil from Camil Productions, and I'll be telling you guys a little bit about the history of Trpanj, Croatia.
There are many theories on how Trpanj got its name, one of them being that it comes from the verb trpjet, which means to endure in Croatian, Bosnian, Serbian, and Montenegrin. Other theories say that it comes from the word drepane, which means sickle in ancient Greek, because a sickle is the shape formed by the cliffs around Trpanj's harbor. Another theory is that the word Trpanj comes from the word trp, which means sea cucumber in Croatian. The final theory is that the word Trpanj comes from the word Trpano or Tarponia, which is the name of the ancient fortification that can be found on the hill overlooking Trpanj's harbor. Trpanj's area has been inhabited since before ancient times. There are many examples of prehistoric evidence that Trpanj has been an urban-type area for a long time. There's examples of prehistoric pottery and many more. Actually, on the slopes of Gradina, the small hill overlooking Trpanj's port, there are traces of prehistoric humans that were found on the St. Rocco Hill. A lot of theories say that life in this area was very hard and very harsh because it is located between barren cliffs to the north and the Miloševica, Vitir, and Prvac Dol hills to the south. The Illyrians lived in the area of Trpanj in the ancient times, and even though it was common knowledge that that area was occupied by the Romans, not much was really known about the specific occupation of Trpanj until in 1922 when a mosaic was uncovered in a park under the Gradina hill. Later on, in 1963, the walls of a Roman Villa Rustica were found, as well as a base of Roman columns and inscriptions from either the 2nd or 3rd century AD. When the Romans finally reached and occupied the area of Trpanj, they encountered the Illyrians, who were living on the slopes of the Gradina hill. According to Dubrovnik historian Jakov Lukaric, the ancient fortress Trpano or Tarponia was destroyed by Julius Caesar himself in battles against the Illyrians. And that is actually the reason to why Trpanj has an emblem of 3 towers as its coat of arms. There has been a lot more of other evidence that suggests that there was Roman presence in Trpanj, but all of that has been covered over the centuries by a thick layer of soil, carried over the centuries by the Potok Brook. During the Gothic rule of Dalmatia in the 6th century, Byzantine Emperor Justinian I built a series of defenses along the coast, including the one on the top of Gradina, in an attempt to reclaim the lands lost to invading tribes and to ensure safe passage of trade. Throughout centuries, the Neretva Channel was a very important merchant sea route. Frequent changes of state boundaries never caused the stop of traffic. Greek vessels used the channel to transport ingredients for the production of incense to Corinth, while Romans mostly used it to trade wine in amphoras. Later, the princes of Neretva imposed tributum pacis, or the peace tribute, which meant that anyone trading in that area had to pay them. As the remains of the ancient world existed, new Croatian inhabitants built their own monuments. For example, they built the first and the most important church of medieval Trpanj dedicated to St. Peter, which was built on the remains of the ancient Roman villa.
This church was built in a small St. Michael church, first mentioned in the will of Trpanj in 1647. In the 1836 cathedral map, the church was stated by St. Michael's, St. Peter's, and St. Paul's Church as being built by the main church in the Trpanj parish. And this church has been a place that's synonymous with the city of Trpanj, with the small town. And people always come here, and it's always a great sight, and people take a lot of pictures. It's the oldest family church in Trpanj, and it's very beautiful, it's very iconic, people love it, and it's a staple of the city. People like that.
After the first known ruler of Zahumlje, Mihailović passed away in 930, the area had frequent changing rulers. From 992 to 1018, Samuel of Bulgaria ruled the Pelješac Peninsula. After that, Duklje in 1042, and after that it was followed by the Prince Desa of Zahumlje in 1148. In 1168, Zahumlje and Pelješac came under the rule of Prince Miroslav of Zahumlje, who was actually the brother of Stefan Nemanja of Serbia. He expelled Bishop Donat from Stone, and Orthodox priests arrived in the Pelješac Peninsula and started to spread Orthodoxy. The Catholic population was then served by the Benedictine monks from the island of Mljet. Zahumlje recognized the authority of Hungarian Duke Andrew in 1198. The Bribir family came to control the area around Trpanj and all the other Dalmatian lands in the late 13th century, not only conquering the areas of Trpanj, but also taking many other Dalmatian lands, and actually taking more lands than any past rulers before. When Mladen Bribirski II strangely disappeared and vanished from politics altogether, the territory was taken over swiftly by the Branivojević brothers of Serbia. They were later removed from power by Stjepan Kotromanić II of Bosnia with the help of Ragusa in 1326. The Republic of Ragusa, also known as the Dubrovnik Republic, hadn't had any international recognition before, but they had strived to change that. They started a diplomatic mission to gain international recognition and recognition of their newly occupied lands. This recognition was achieved in 1333 with the assistance of Serbian King Dušan and Bosnian King Stjepan Kotromanić II. The Republic of Ragusa later allied itself with King Louis of Hungary to ward off any pretenders, autonomists, or rebels in the area. Trpanj and the greater Pelješac Peninsula remained in the Republic of Ragusa for a long time, all up until Ragusa's fall. There were laws that said that nobody on Pelješac could buy land unless they were a citizen of Ragusa. As a result, all of the inhabitants automatically became serfs of the Republic. They had few obligations, and they had the right to sail, be educated, do business, and accumulate possessions. Unlike the two superpowers right next to it, who have basically claimed the area as their own, that being Venice and the Ottoman Empire. The serfs acquainted with their local lords and could actually communicate with them in Croatian, hence the Republic enjoying overwhelming support among the population. Serf families needed to have at least one family member that was male and over the age of 16 to have the right to live in a house. And that male family member had to perform certain services, including working on the lands for free, transporting the lord by rowing boat, and carrying out other orders. There was a selection of how many days the male family member would have to work in a year, and that would always be varying due to the Dubrovnik Senate. In the year 1800, it was sent to 90 days. If the serf household had a garden, then they'd have to give the lord a lamb, 2 chickens, 2 chicks, and 10 eggs. The prize for the grazing of public land was a dried pig's head. Serf daughters were sent to work as maids in noble houses. And this would actually bring culture, fashion, and many other things to the countryside from the city. Public schools started operating very early in the Republic of Ragusa, since navigation and sailing required literacy. Brotherhoods, which in the 1200s had a religious character, received a semi-legal status by the 15th century, and then held responsibilities such as port fees, and fishing brotherhoods such as the one dedicated to St. Peter always took a fisherman apostol as a patron saint. Until 1343, when the captaincy was established in Orbic. The seat of authority for Pelješac was in Stone. From 1456, Trpanj had been administered by the newly established captaincy in Janine. But since Trpanj was a coastline town, unlike Yanina, the captain spent way more time in Trpanj than in Yanina, even though Yanina was a far more populated city. When the Ragushian nobility divided Pelješac among each other in 1344, Trpanj was sectioned into 4 parts. 2.5 of the land was given to the brothers Dobre and Luka from the Gambe family, and the brothers Marko and Petar from the Bucia family received 1.5. Both of these families were in the maritime commerce business. In 1352, when Dobre Gambe died, his part went to his brother Luka, and in turn, when Luka died in 1358, he requested that his part be sold to the proceeds to be given to the monastery in stone. The Bucia brothers also had no inheritors, and their parts were sold at a public auction in 1395 for 1501 purpers. Then, Trpanj became property of the Gradi family. The exact date isn't known, but it was before the 24th of February of 1498, since a building contract with that date actually describes the construction of a stone house in Trpanj for Stjepan Grad. Biagio Stefano Gradi left Trpanj to his son-in-law Jaromil Franjo Gondulic. Hence, the Gondola family came into possession of Trpanj on the 16th of November, 1615. Due to a court order from the 18th of February, 1626, the brothers, Stefan and Franjo Gondulic, were ordered to return the dowry of their grandmother to their brothers, Miho and Ivan Resti. The brothers sold more than half of their Trpanj possessions to save money to Ivan Krste Benesa on the 17th of July, 1632, for 1,590 ducats, stipulating that if in 8 years they managed to return that sum of the money to the buyer, the sale will be annulled, which probably happened as Trpanj remained in the Gondola family. When his brothers died, Biagio found himself sole leader and owner of Trpanj, and in order to ensure that Trpanj as a whole remained in his family, he made Trpanj a indivisible legal entity, which he secured in a testament trust. On the 22nd of May, 1672, Frano Gondola, who was a big Austrian marshal, wrote from Vienna to his friend Marco Baselgi to ask him to get the republic and to name him the Duke of it. And as a result, he got the name Duke of Trpanj, as Trpanj became the Dukedom of St. Michael. This was actually a very necessary choice because of his high position in Vienna. Frano died in 1700 before being able to build a huge summer residence in Trpanj. Francesco Gondola left the residence in Trpanj to his son, Francesco II, who died in Vienna in 1717 without any male offsprings. In the spring of 1700, the Gondola family was sued in the court by Slava, wife of Paolo Gozze, and the court ordered Trpanj to be divided in two. Although court documents clearly divided the land and property, the court order was never actually carried out, and the town remained under the control of the Gondolas. Sigismondo was sued by his serfs from Trpanj in the spring of 1741 for a variety of unlawful actions, ranging from requiring free fishing to the confiscation of boats and other property and interference in their commerce. Sigismondo later died in 1682, leaving Trpanj to his son, Sigismondo Domenico Gondola. In order to avoid any constant lawsuits by financially powerful serfs, he struck a deal on the 4th of July of 1765, whereby the 70 Trpanj families were to pay a sum of money for the following 25 years instead of performing services or giving gifts to Gundulic. The only thing that still had to be delivered to the landlord was the gift of olive oil. The sum of money had to be paid by each family before the celebration of St. Michael's. That contract was signed for a second time for another period of 25 years when the first one expired. Sigismundo II, who was to die in 1800, had no inheritors, and so he adopted his sister Katrina's son, Frano Agostino Getaldi, in 1787. In 1807, the last Count Gondola, Sigismundo II, joined in a lawsuit with the courts of Dubrovnik to fight for possession of Trpanj against Sigismundo Getaldi Gondola, but he was finally succeeded by Frano Getaldi and his sons, Sigismundo Getaldi Gondola and Matteo Getaldi Gondola. Trpanj was left to Sigismundo, who was later named Baron and Podesta of Ragusa for 13 years. He had 3 children, Frano, Gino, and Maria. Trpanj remained in the property of the Getaldi Gondola family, and its inhabitants would pay the landlord a fixed sum of money every year instead of traditional services and gifts. That was until Trpanj's residents, the first people on the Pelješac island, decided to legally buy their town from their landlord and relieve themselves of serfdom in 1856, marking their eternal freedom. The residents of Trpanj have enjoyed their freedom ever since. Trpanj was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and later when that collapsed, it became a part of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. But in World War II, as the Kingdom of Yugoslavia fell to the Axis powers, Trpanj and the greater Pelješac Peninsula was under the control of Italy. After the Axis powers were expelled from Yugoslavia by the partisans, Trpanj became a part of the Socialist Federal Republic of Croatia, which itself was a part of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Today, after the breakup of Yugoslavia, Trpanj has been and is a part of the Republic of Croatia, where it has received nothing but economic prosperity and tourism. Trpanj is a very beautiful little town with untouched and preserved nature lurking all around it. Really a sight to behold. The pure green forest and the rocks in the small town of Trpanj really are beautiful and really make the town unique and of its own.
This is Trpanj Forest. It's a very famous forest because it's known for being one of the battlegrounds for the battles between the Illyrians and the Romans when Rome was conquering everything and the Illyrians were fighting back in Trpanj. They had a lot of very big battles here in Trpanj, and it's a very famous forest. The birds are always chirping, it's big, long, and green, and it's lovable. People love it.
Trpanj has also been blessed with beautiful rock beaches that haven't been meddled with, touched, or transformed in any way. And that's actually one of the reasons why they are so beautiful, is that they're pure, rocky beaches that haven't been transformed into fake beaches of any kind. They're real and pure and very, very beautiful. This beach was the battleground for many battles between the Illyrians and the Romans. This is pure, all-natural rock, and it's one of the things that's very synonymous with the Mediterranean and with Croatia and Dalmatia in general. And here the Romans would come into battle and they would fight the Illyrians by sea, and the Illyrians would fight back or they would retreat. And it's a very famous rock, and it's a very lovable rock. And kids from camp here, they create tents and sleep here for one night, and it's really an amazing sight to see. The rocky Dalmatian cliffs and beaches are really a staple of Trpanj. Trpanj is a coastline town and it is a part of the Adriatic Sea. The people of Trpanj go to the beach every day and swim and swim and swim for hours in the beautiful sea. One of the best parts of Trpanj is its beautiful old city, which was built in the Roman era, and it is absolutely beautiful. This is the old town of Trpanj, and this is a place that's very synonymous with the people, with the culture, with the city in general, and it represents everything about the city just all in one. All of the history of the city of Trpanj is, you can see it in this one place. You have from the times of the Illyrians to the times of the Romans to the Austrian Empire, everything is here. And I really think that's beautiful, and it's not as magnificent as it once was, but it's still nice, and it's still a place where you can go through with joy. A nobleman from Dubrovnik, a landlord of Trpanj named Trpanj decided in his will for that all of his possessions to be created and all of the funds to be created into this magnificent church known as the Church of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And this really is a beautiful church. Not as grand as the other one, but still very dear to the people of Trpanj. And as you can see, this is the old city of Trpanj, and this means a lot to the people here, and the people genuinely just like to be at this place, and it reminds them of home. It's become a little more decimal over the past few years since a lot of the places have shut down, but it's still the old city, and you can't really replace that. Trpanj is also known for having beautiful crepe myrtles all around the town during the spring to fall seasons, and they are very beautiful. They flourish during the spring, and they are very beautiful to look at during the summer, especially when you're going through the city. Just like in other areas where the weather is very warm, Trpanj has many pomegranates, and they are very delicious to eat. Trpanj Center is kind of the main attraction of the entire city. It is a great and very vibrant city center, having many restaurants, cafes, and ice cream shops, with very friendly people running the place, and they're always full. There are rocky beaches, traditional Mediterranean palm trees, and a very, very special atmosphere. Since we are in the Adriatic Sea, of course, this is traditional Mediterranean architecture. It's very beautiful, it's very happy looking, very joyful, and this town is very joyful, very Mediterranean. It's a very beautiful town, Adriatic Sea, you have the access, and it's very beautiful, and it's very well liked, and people like it. And here you can see all of these nice little boats that people get, and you can rent one of them out and go out to the sea, to the Mediterranean, to the Adriatic. It really is beautiful. Trpanj also has a very, very high-quality sports scene. Trpanj has a football club called NK Faraon Trpanj. Faraon Trpanj is a team that has existed since 1919, making it one of the oldest football clubs in former Yugoslavia. It is a team that is very loved by the people of Trpanj, and it is a team that prioritizes itself on being a team of the people. Faraon Trpanj is a small team, but it's a very lovable team, and it's a team with very good history. Trpanj also has a water polo team called Vaterpolo Klub Trpanj. It is the team that gets together every summer to play water polo, have fun, and swim in the Adriatic Sea. There have been multiple famous people who have come from the town of Trpanj, including Anna and Mia Begovic, two very famous actresses from the Yugoslavian times, and also Stjepan Ivanišević, Croatia's Minister of Justice, Public Administration, and Digital Transformation. In conclusion, Trpanj is a wonderful town, and it is a town that you should absolutely put on your travel list.
thank you everyone for watching. We had so much fun making this. We had a really great time, running around and filming. And this was the history of Trpanj, Croatia. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned. There'll be more to come soon. As you can hopefully see, these are some very famous hieroglyphics. They've been around since the 18th century. They were created in the times of the Roman Empire. And yeah, I'm kidding. This is just a random rock I found. As you can see here, this is one of the most famous beaches in Trpanj. It's Trpanj Beach. It's the most famous one here. This is the beach bar of Trpanj, and this is.
Okay, pazi.
And as you can see, the boats of Trpanj are very famous and they're very well known, and people use them. They go to Duva Beach, they go to Pelješac, they go wherever you need to.
Okay, stani, pašćeš!
And so here we have the. Ne mogu, sunce mi ide, moramo da idemo preko.
No, it's okay!
Ne može, nije okej, ne može.